live and welcome back to another episode of The More Show. Now, my guest today is William Shaffer. Now, William is an Akashic reader and dream consultant. He's able to tune into your higher self and provide past life readings. William has given past life readings to well over 1,000 people and co-authored the book Illuminating Physical Experiences. In 2019, he published the past life novel Beloved Brother, and he joins me today to discuss his latest book, Ben Kim Sem, and much more. William Shaffer, thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure once again.
So you've been on the show now, William, 6 times, and this will be the 7th interview that you've done with myself, and I'm honored to have you back on. This interview is obviously going to talk about your latest book, and if anyone wants to see any of William's past interviews, just go to the description in the YouTube video below, and you'll see all the links to his past interviews. If you're listening back to the podcast version, just go to themoreshow.com/William Shaffer, and there'll be the links there, including links to book a reading with William as well. So I think to begin with, William, let's just talk about the journey of this latest book, and when did you write the manuscript?
I wrote the manuscript 2 years ago, and then I have just now finished the final editing of the manuscript, so that hopefully it will be available on Amazon in March. This, for those who read Beloved Brother, this is the next time me as Brother Peter in 7th century Scotland and the Venetian knight Richard, this is the next time they come together after 7th century Scotland. And it is 1,000 years later. They meet next in the year 1600. And I, who was Brother Peter in Beloved Brother, am now a Muslim born in Izmir in what is today southern Turkey, but back then there was no such thing as Turkey. And this lifetime is when I showed my greatest abilities in being telepathic with animals and nature spirits. And I also had past life memory in that life and worked with a lot of past life memories through dreams. And the ability to talk to animals and nature and to work with dreams and to have past life memory are all considered as satanic in the Muslim belief. And before I reached the age of 13, it is discovered by my father and my family what I can do. And I'm taken before the imam, and I am exiled for life from Izmir, and I have my name taken away from me. And for the rest of my life, I can only be known as Ben Kim Sem. I am no one. Richard, who in Beloved Brother had been born in Venice, 1,000 years later, he is reborn in Venice again. But this time, he's the son of a rabbi in the Jewish ghetto of Venice. And for different reasons, in the year 1600, the two men will meet on the same ship that sails every season from spring to early autumn around the Mediterranean. So the book tells my story in Izmir and Constantinople up until the year 1600. Then part 2 is Richard's story, and his name is David, which is Hebrew for beloved. His story up until the year 1600. Then part 3 covers the first year of when they meet on working as same crew members on this ship, and what comes up, from the past and what's going on, what they need to be working on in that life. And then there's an epilogue that I summarize what happens to them in that life and the next time we would meet, which would be in the late 1920s in Poland, and what happened there.
So, as you say, from the last book, Beloved Brother, to this next book, you say you are roughly around 1,000 years.
1,000 years, yeah.
Yeah. Now, do you recall actually having these lives?
Yes, absolutely. When I write my past life novels, I'm reliving the lives as I write them. And that is the way to help me at this time in my life to continue processing any remaining unresolved emotional issues or karmic lessons from those lifetimes, so that I can integrate them more consciously in who I am at this point in my life. So yes, I relive the lives. I see very vivid images. I sometimes dream actual scenes when I'm writing the book. It's very, very clear and close to me when I'm writing them.
And why is that important in this lifetime for you to do the work on yourself like that?
These emotional issues are so intense, and they've been blocking me for so long in linear time, that at my higher self level, it was determined that this would be the best way to accelerate the process, to get me through this, so that I can move on to where I need to be moving on to once these issues are resolved. It causes the emotions that I have been repressing in past lives. It forces them to come up to my conscious surface so that I can't avoid or deny or escape them anymore. And it accelerates my growth and healing and transformational process so I can move on to what I want to move on to.
Do you know what you want to move on to?
What I want to do now is focus far more on working with animals and with nature, with Mother Earth. Animals have always been extremely important to me. And I have had past life experiences where I was able to telepathically communicate with animals and be a kind of liaison between animals and other humans, and to help animals in their own internal karmic process. So for me, I want very much to put my life much more focused on working with animals and Mother Earth, who is going through a major transformational process right now. She's shifting into a higher vibration of energy and consciousness. And there is a lot of work that needs to do to help Mother Earth with that cleansing and healing. So I want to be more consciously working with my telepathic connection with animals and nature to assist in that process and be there and help the animals as much as I can.
Yes. Okay, so you doing this work on yourself by publishing these books and putting this material out there, this is part of this lifetime's cleansing for you, basically.
Yes, because of the emotional process writing my books puts me through, that helps me to be more consciously direct and connected with my telepathy with animals and nature. If there's any kind of fear or doubt or resistance within you, then you can't open up as thoroughly and purely to these gifts. Every one of us has the ability to be telepathic. This is a natural ability every human soul has. But for whatever many reasons, the vast majority of humans reject or deny this truth, and they avoid their higher spiritual gifts. They're holding on to past life guilt of when they've misused their gifts before, not understanding that they were supposed to misuse their gifts in the past in order to learn how and why they misused their gifts. And we misuse our gifts because of lack of self-love and the lack of self-value and the lack of self-trust that result from lack of self-love. So once we can look back at what we have done in the past, in this life or any past life, and see that whatever we have experienced, it was supposed to be that way to teach us what we needed to learn about ourselves. Karma never judges. Karma never rewards or punishes. Karma is just pure cosmic energy in a constant state of balancing itself. And what we put out comes back to us. And how we put out is how it comes back to us. And that's where the karma is. The karma is getting ourselves as integrated and balanced within ourselves to own who we truly are, not hold on to the limitations and denials. I don't dare, I'm not good enough. You know, it's got to be a guru or a messiah outside of me that does it all for me. You know, we all are equal spiritual beings, and we all have equal gifts, but we choose what we want. We choose where we most desire to explore and express ourselves. And if you're holding on to any judgment, guilt, fear, denial, resistance, then you block your abilities. So writing my books forces me to come into whatever remaining unresolved emotional issues I have, and forces me to be with them and work through them, not be afraid of them, not judge them, not see them as good or bad or right or wrong, but just the learning experience they were meant to be. And the more I can align and attune to that awareness and sense of my being and my inner process, then I strengthen and make more clear my gifts that I choose to work with. And I choose to work with writing, with being an Akashic reader, working with dreams, and now working with animals and Mother Nature more, and to really, really improve my telepathic connection with animals in nature, as this is the direction I want my work to go from this point on in this lifetime. And so the books have given me the emotional process so that I can get myself to that point.
Have they helped strengthen you to believe more in, you know, in yourself then, in the gifts that you've got?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And of course, it takes time. It has to become a very consistent state of being. So it's very normal going through this process where there are big yo-yo ups and downs. You know, sometimes it's better, sometimes it's not. This is normal because we have conditioned ourselves over so many lifetimes to limit ourselves, to find excuses to not do what we are really here to do, to hold on to the illusionary safety nets of resistance and denial and doubt and whatever. It's normal that it will be very up and down, and some days are better than others, some hours are better than others, until gradually but consistently it becomes more consistent in staying in that self-accepting, self-loving, self-trusting state of being with myself.
Yeah, well, that's obviously has been a lifetime journey for you, and will continue to be.
Lifetimes,
Lifetimes, yeah, lifetimes.
eons.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I'm sure your boat gets rocked a lot, and I'm sure that you get, that there'll be normal triggers throughout the day, and I guess I guess you turn sometimes to your work, and I guess sometimes you don't, like we all do. Do you know what I mean? There's been times in my life where
Exactly.
I've not turned to this work, and I think when I'm in a better state, I probably turn to it, for help.
Sometimes I need time off from it. Sometimes I physically and or mentally and emotionally need to take a break. So sometimes I'll walk away from the books and not look at them at all or not write at all. Sometimes I'll go through several months without doing any readings at all, and then boom, they start popping up again for a while. So that's kind of part of the natural process, is to not push yourself all the time so much that you end up totally exhausting yourself again and again. You need breaks. You need periods of time off to just let it all go and just do things that are fun, that have no other meaning than just the joy and the fun of it. You learn through time how to set the pace of how to work with yourself, and when to step back, when to take a break, and when to step into it again. So yeah, it can be a roller coaster ride, but you can get off the roller coaster and get back on it.
I think you enjoy it. I think it is your purpose, and I think a lot of things are our purpose, aren't they? When we enjoy them, we can enjoy multiple things. We can have multiple purposes, can't we?
Absolutely. If the work you're doing is not bringing you joy and a sense of real personal fulfillment, then whatever you're doing it to avoid doing what it is you really want to be doing. If there's no joy, it's not really becoming an integral part of you. And even with all the difficulties, life will always test us. Life throws tests at us all the time to make sure that we genuinely trust and embrace the truth of what we feel and what we do. And that's part of gaining that level of consistency, that when I'm tested, yeah, I may still react, but I find that the reaction time becomes less and less. I become more consciously aware faster and faster. Oh, this is a test. I'm just showing myself, do I really trust this or not? The reaction times are much, much smaller each time they happen. And then the tests come less frequent. So we have to have an absolute emotional trust in who we are, what we feel, and what we do. If it's just an intellectual knowing, nothing's happening. You don't evolve, you don't expand spiritually without feeling and emotionally trusting the truth. If you just understand it and know it, and that's it, nothing's happened yet. And trust, self-love, these are feelings. You have to feel the emotional reality of this, and then it is genuinely a part of your spiritual being. And life will constantly test us to see, is the emotional trust genuinely there, and is it becoming a consistent state of being for ourselves? And when it shows that it's not, then the test is to not get all guilty and judging yourself and saying, I'm stupid, because that's the way the mind tries to take you out of it. You recognize if you're getting back into the pattern and say, thank you for reminding me. There it is again. This is what it's reminding me I need to do with and for myself, so that if we get back into the pattern, we don't react with guilt and judgment and all this stuff, but see it and work with it and work through it. And this then, over time, accelerates the true spiritual gifts we have within us that are there if we're willing and ready and daring to accept them and work with them.
Understood. And obviously, you are still doing your past life readings for now with people as well, and you do the obviously the, as you mentioned there, the pet readings, which we're going to get into, and you do the dream consultant work as well, which may be part and parcel. Is that part and parcel of a question that you can ask to yourself in a past life reading?
Yes, absolutely. A lot of people will ask questions about, especially recurring dreams that keep coming, and they will ask, what is the deeper meaning and lesson here that I need to know so I can work through this?
Yes, absolutely. So, okay, so look, you're working on your issues with having this ability to be able to perceive a lifetime that's coming to you for yourself, that's affecting you in the moment now, which these lifetimes which you're publishing will also inspire others about the whole subject of past lives and other issues that may come up within them, but also inspire them to know that a past life reading could help them in what they're going through right now, or if they feel that they're at a point where what else could help me. But that's my question really, what else could help other people, because not everyone's going to get a past life reading. So I mean, and obviously I think souls are progressing without past life readings as well. So in the past life readings that you offer, what are other people doing that are equivalent to what you could give people in a past life that they're doing themselves for some of them to move on?
One of the most powerful tools to work with yourself is to express yourself creatively through whatever creative form or forms you choose. When you are expressing yourself creatively, then the masculine and feminine energies of your higher self are working together. Now, people have to understand male and female have nothing to do with masculine and feminine. You have New Age people talking about male and female power. There's no such thing. Masculine and feminine are about energies. Male and female is just the physical body you incarnate into. And whether you are incarnated into a male or female body, either one, you have to be an integrated balance of masculine and feminine energies. Feminine energies are magnetic. Masculine energies are electric. Feminine energies have to do with inspiration, compassion, dedication, openness, flexibility, sensitivity. It is the pure, original, raw, creative power that can be manifested into some form. These are all feminine energy. Masculine energy is the intellect, physical strength, determination, endurance, perseverance, clarity, groundedness, and the ability to take the pure creative energy inspired by the feminine energy and then manifest it into some finalized form. So I have said this in lectures, and then someone will say to me, so you're saying women are emotional and men are intellectual? No, male and female have nothing to do with masculine and feminine. Whether you're in a male or female body, you have to have both masculine and feminine energies. So people got to really get that clarity. They're not synonymous.
Okay, but when you're living in purpose then, and as you've said so much in this interview already, living in joy, doing what you really passionately want to do, then you're expressing those energies.
Yes.
And you're living in those energies.
Yes. And for people who explore their creative expression, whether it's writing novels and short stories, whether it's writing poetry, whether it's acting, singing, dancing, painting, drawing, sculpturing, pottery, no matter what the creative form, if you are expressing yourself through any creativity, you can't produce anything unless the masculine and feminine are working together. When you have a blockage, it's because the masculine and feminine are blocked from each other. They're not working together. But if you can create the singing voice, composing a piece of music, acting, dancing, writing, whatever, then the masculine and feminine are working together. And that is the greatest opportunity to consciously connect with your higher self within you. Intuition is just another word. Intuition is the voice of your higher self that you hear and feel deep within you. And when you are connected more consciously with your higher self, when you can hear and feel your intuitive voice and trust it, then this expands and strengthens your creative expression, whatever form it is, and whatever other gifts you have, such as being a medium, a psychic, telepathic, whatever. But the key is this masculine and feminine integration and balance within yourself. And any form of creative expression is a profound way of getting in touch with that level within yourself. And that can lead you, it can help you with dreams. And you can always ask, you can invoke to have dreams to help bring you guidance and clarity, on what your gifts are, what you need to be working with. And if you work with your masculine and feminine energy in a creative expression, it strengthens your ability to remember and work with your dreams. It helps you in your day-to-day process of spiritual growth and healing and transformation. Another form is working with animals. People who spend a lot of time with animals and feel very attuned to animals, this is another way of really getting in contact with the deepest level of your higher self. Animals chose to come to the earth plane to act as emotional teachers. All the different species of animals represent different aspects of emotions, of feeling. And the animals we are most drawn to, that we love the most, those animals are representing the emotional issues that we are either connected to the most strongly or need to develop more strongly. Animals that we don't feel safe around, animals that we can't stand, that we hate them, they are representing the emotional issues we absolutely fear and do not want to acknowledge or deal with at all within ourselves. So the animals we feel drawn or not drawn to reveals a lot about what's going on in our own inner process. And working with animals can help bring so much awakening and healing of subconscious, unresolved karmic issues that need to be worked out. To give a few examples, horses are one of the most powerful animals to work with. Horses represent, they teach how to be safe with your most powerful spiritual gifts through playfulness. Horses teach people to be safe with their spiritual truth and their spiritual power by not taking themselves so seriously, not taking everything so seriously, and learning how to be more playful and what can be released and come to the surface through that playfulness. Horses, to work with horses, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to ride them. That's your choice. Just to spend time with horses. Whether you ride them or not, that's your choice. But to, pet them, to groom them, to feed them, just to spend time with them and talk to them. All animals are telepathic. And all animals understand every word you say to them. And if you talk to a horse and explain why you're with the horse, that you're trying to open up to some healing or trying to get into a deeper understanding of yourself, they will understand you. And they will interact with you in a way that will help you achieve what you're looking for. And they will do it in a very playful way. Because if you're taking yourself too seriously, that becomes a self-imposed blockage. So they teach you to be more playful. And working with them, again, whether or not you ride them, when you're conscious that you have this decision of being with horses, they will interact with you that will be very eye-opening and astounding, and they will reveal a great deal to you. Foxes represent the inner child. And we all have an inner child in us who is very, very wounded after so many past lives of wounded childhoods. And the inner child is a part of our inner self that we also have to come in contact to heal. We hold on to a lot of negative experiences, painful experiences from our childhood in this lifetime, but also accumulative from all the lifetimes before. And the fox is an animal that helps you get in touch with your inner child so that you can bring up whatever the pain, the grief, the emotional issues are that need to be healed, that need to be released, that need to be transformed into self-love and self-trust. Foxes love best to work through dreams. And you can ask for foxes to come in dreams where they will act out situations with you to help you work on your inner child. Now, very disturbing, especially in the UK, where fox hunting, it's been made illegal, but people are still doing it. There's still illegal fox hunts going on. Fox hunting in the UK is a big karmic issue because the British are the most emotionally constipated human souls on the planet. In the UK society, rudeness is expressing an emotion. And if you express an emotion, you have to say sorry right away. This is the UK. And it's also a fact that the majority of the British love their pets more than their children. Now, that's interesting because animals represent the emotional teachers, yet the British aren't utilizing their pets to that full capacity. And there are massive issues of not just abusive behavior, but more neglect in British children. And here you have the British adults fox hunting, and the fox represents the inner child. So here is this mirroring going on in life that the British are constantly trying to kill the inner child within themselves. They don't want to see the fox. The fox is the problem to be hunted and killed because they don't want to deal with their inner child. And now fox hunting being illegal is is trying to get the British to, do something else with this energy. And a little bit here and there it's working, and in a lot of places it's not.
Well, it's like
But
when I went to Malaysia, right? And there were so many. There was just packs of wild dogs in a lot of places, in the big cities, and they were just left to fend for themselves. There was no care.
yes, dogs represent the qualities of faith and fidelity. Dog lovers, people who prefer dogs, tend to be people who have difficulty expressing their emotions directly, fully, and honestly. They tend to have difficulties with relationships, and especially very intimate relationships. These people tend to be, quite often, to be loners. They're starving to death for love, but scared to death to ask for it because they assume love will always automatically lead to pain and suffering and loss. So these kind of people tend to be very drawn to dogs because dogs, their karmic pattern is they're codependent, very overly codependent. And so the dog will give the love 100% unconditionally. And this is very safe to those humans who tend to be loners, who have difficulty expressing their emotions, who have difficulty with intimate relationships. That's kind of their avoidance, their escape to get love another way. But dogs aren't to be used that way. Dogs want to teach humans what you love in me, see in yourself, and love it in yourself, and trust it. Whereas cat lovers tend to be over caretakers. They give far too much to far too many, far too soon. Cat lovers tend to be self-sacrificing to the point of starving themselves to death of their own nurturing needs. Cats are extremely independent, the polar opposite of dogs, completely independent. They do everything their way, on their time, in their own way. So they're trying to teach the over caretaking cat lovers, you need to be more independent. You need to take more care nurturing yourself and not sacrificing yourself constantly to the needs and expectations of others. And so cats are trying to teach cat lovers that. Cats are also the mentors for mediums, psychics, channelers, or anybody using their telepathic gifts. Cats monitor humans when they are using those gifts to make sure that they are using the gifts properly. I spent a lot of time teaching and doing readings in Norway. And there was a friend I used to stay with a lot. And I would do readings in her home while she was at work, and she had a pet cat. This cat would sit in on every single reading. And he would monitor me to make sure that I was channeling everything correctly and properly, not forgetting anything like that. But the cat was also monitoring the person I was reading. If the person was showing any rejection or resistance or denial, the cat would growl and hiss and spit at them and sometimes scratch them. And if I was saying something to the person that was bringing up such a deep emotional reaction that they were going to start crying, oftentimes the cat would jump in their lap and start purring and be there to help them with it. So that was a very tangible way of working with an animal in my Akashic reading work.
Do you think the cat was consciously aware of that?
Absolutely, 100%. And constantly monitoring me to make sure that I was doing it properly. 100% conscious.
But do you think that that experience you had with that particular pet was that pet that was that's the soul of that pet, and the soul of another pet cat may be completely different in having that experience with someone else? Do you know what I mean?
It could be. All cats have that capacity, and cats, to some degree or other, serve that capacity. But depending on the individual karmic issues of any cat, some may be more or less so. So it depends on the individual needs of that cat, like
Yeah,
with
this
any
was
human.
a bit more of your experience, and it's possible it could be others, absolutely, of course. But for others, no, it could be a completely different karmic experience with that pet, depending what they've come in here for, I guess. So
Certainly, certainly.
I can see where your work's going. Then I can almost hear the next book. Do you know what I mean? With the
Well,
pets.
the book that's coming out, this Ben Kim Sam, that lifetime, that one, I was telepathic with animals and nature, and got me in trouble, with the imams. So it's a lot about my animal telepathic work. This new novel that's coming out. So it's interesting that I was editing it now, as this is the direction I want my life to go in.
Yeah, and because we speak now and then, just off air, even to make this interview possible. And you mentioned, wanting to move to Scotland, and I can only say to the audience what a beautiful place it is. But you feel really drawn there, don't you?
I've had so many lifetimes in Scotland. I often joke that my aura is plaid, and I'm expecting my higher self, to speak with a Scottish accent. I have many, many, many lifetimes in Scotland. It's my spiritual home on earth. So I have a very strong desire to go back to my spiritual home for this last phase of my life. And I want to move the area in Scotland I want to move to is either central Scotland or just below in the southern borders, just above the English border, somewhere in there. And in that area is a safari park where they keep animals from all over the world. And I mean everything. I mean lions and tigers and giraffes and penguins and you name it, it's there. And my desire, once I get moved and settled in Scotland, is I want to be a volunteer at that safari park and offer my telepathic abilities to work with the animals there to make sure they're okay, they're happy, their needs are being met, no physical problems, and if they have any problems in the communication with the other people who work there.
You can feel the energy there, can't you? It's in Scotland. It's very different. Yeah.
The reason I moved to Wales was that the red dragon, back in about 10 years ago, the red dragon became my new primary animal guide. The dragon is my primary guide, and especially the red dragon. The red dragon is power through creative expression. And this is why you have so many great Welsh singers. It's this red dragon, power through creative expression. So I came here to connect with the red dragon and continued working on my past life memory novels. And now the dragon said to me, the connection between us is firm. I don't need you living in Wales for me to work with and through you. So, I'm going from one Celtic country to another Celtic country.
Yes, you are. And just getting back to your readings as well. So, could people have a mixture of questions, for pet questions, dream questions, past life questions to you? Just explain how that could work, and just in the basics, explain how a reading works with yourself as well.
Yeah, in the reading, I would say right away, personal readings and readings involving pets should be separate. If somebody wants a reading for themselves, that needs to be in and of itself. And you do not have a reading to find out what the future is going to be or to be told what you should be doing, that's your responsibility. A reading never does that. A reading explains why things are the way they are, so you understand the deeper meanings, the unresolved lessons, the emotional issues, so you know what to work with and how to work with it. So a personal reading should just be about the person. If they want readings about animals, it could be pets, or for some people, it's they're farm animals. It can be about the animals alone or about their connection with the animals. But any issues more personal about themselves that have nothing to do with the animals should be a separate reading. But with the animal reading, it could be just about the animal or their relationship to the animal.
Yeah. With your readings, then, am I right to say that, in a sense, that these readings that you do, for personal readings, I'm talking about here, individual readings, are almost like it's really the one of the core aims of it is to shift you into purpose?
Yes, I mean the reason people have readings because they're stuck, they're blocked, they're either stuck in a job that they don't like, and they're stuck in not getting out of it. They're in a very harmful, painful relationship. They have a physical condition or disease that's causing a lot of problems, and they want to know why and how to work with it. These are the typical questions or why can't I connect what I think I want to be doing? Things like that. And the reading will give the explanation of what the source of the blockage is and why. It will give suggestions in how to work with it. But a reading never tells you what to do, and it will not tell you the future, because that's your creative purpose.
Yeah, and I mean, so some of the pet readings, I mean, of course, people, that have lost a very loved and dear pet to them, I guess they want to know sometimes, did I do the right thing,
Yeah.
Putting them down, euthanizing them?
Oh, yeah, and animals have no problem with that. Animals do not fear death at all. At all. They just fear how the death will be. They just don't want to suffer. But they do not fear death at all. Animals do not differentiate between life and death, because death is neither the opposite of life nor is it the absence of life. Death is just life shifted into another stage of being. So animals do not make a differentiation between physical life and non-physical life. For them, it's one and the same. And they live in that continuous sense of being. When you meet an animal can read your entire Akashic record in a matter of seconds. An animal can see your entire Akashic history when it first meets you. So that's why when some animals don't like you, it's because they're reacting to something in your Akashic history that they don't like. And it's why some animals are very drawn to you. It's the same with people, between people. It's past life memory, whether you're conscious of it or not. We're drawn to certain people and repelled by other people. This is all past life memory. And animals react that way with humans because they can see the whole Akashic history.
As you say, it's unconscious for us, but couldn't it be unconscious for pets as well, in a sense that they just know they're feeling it because they're tuned in to as no?
My experience with animals is they tend to know. They know their Akashic history. They are not unconscious of anything. Because they're more open. Humans shut down deliberately because humans are afraid to be who they are. Animals are who they are. They're nothing but who they are. And they have no resistance to that. So they are completely conscious. They see the whole picture. And that's the major way that animals are quite different from humans. And it's a level of consciousness that animals have to teach to humans.
And these pets that we really do love, I know we all do, they will be there to meet us when we cross over as well, I'm sure.
Absolutely. And a lot of the readings for animals, if there's a problem, when there's a problem in communication between the human and the animal, in my experience so far, 99.9% of the time, the problem is the human, not the animal. It's very rarely something coming. It can come from the animal sometimes. It can. But 99.9%, the blockage is in the human, not the animal.
What about an owner that's got both cats and dogs, in a sense? Or maybe, one cat, one dog, or whatever the combination is, but has both?
That can indicate a very good integration of the masculine and feminine energies. That can indicate someone who's really learning how to balance independence with sharing and expressing with others. When you see the two, when you relate to them equally, that's a very good sign of inner balance and integration.
But I guess as well, then, in a reading, a lot of other things are going to come out, aren't they? We're just generalizing it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Sure.
What about those us people who say, I'd rather have pets than humans any day. I've got no time for humans. Just give me the pets. What's that avoiding?
I can totally relate to those people.
Okay, so this is a reading for you then.
Relate to them. I tend to be the same way because animals are direct, open, and honest. Humans aren't. Humans, we act out of fear. Now, we're supposed to act out of fear in order to learn that we're doing it, find out why, and what we need to do to heal it. So the fact that we act out of fear, this is not something bad or wrong. We're here to do that until we finally learn what we need to learn from that. But because we don't trust ourselves, if you can't trust yourself, you can't trust anybody else. It's impossible. You can't love anything in someone else if you don't have it within yourself. You can't love another unless it's in you, and you can't receive from another unless it's in you. But we're very good at pretending to not acknowledge that, to not see it. Our fears are still in control. Otherwise, we wouldn't have to still be here. But the fear is there to teach us the root of that fear so we can heal and transform that root and transform that fear into more positive, supportive energy. Fear is nothing to get rid of. If you try to get rid of fear, you're giving it more and more power. The more you try to get rid of something, the more you create it. Energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be transformed. So fear has a purpose. It's to teach you, in that moment you're feeling fear, you're not trusting something about yourself. So the fear isn't there to frighten you. But if your mind chooses to believe the fear, then you feel frightened and that blocks you off. But if you can feel the fear and not be afraid of it, and then you can ask yourself, what is this fear trying to remind me of? What's it mirroring to me? Fear is always about something you don't love and trust in yourself. And once you get that and you work with that, then the fear loses its intensity and it transforms into more positive, supportive energy. But that's its purpose. But if we don't trust that, most people are so afraid of the fear. And when you have that level of fear, you don't trust yourself, you don't trust anybody else. But animals are so direct and open and honest. They kind of override this fear process of ours. So a lot of people will feel safer with animals than with humans. But then the animals don't want the humans to become addicted to that. The animals want you to recognize whatever you love in them exists in you. And if you can accept it and own it and trust it and value it in yourself, that makes you more capable of then seeing it and accepting it in others. And that's what the animals are trying to do.
Okay, so let me just get this right then. So when people order the readings for whether they're having a pet reading or a consultation for themselves, which is the same thing, but there are two different readings. It's the same
Yeah.
process. Just keep them
Yes.
separate. That's what you're saying. Okay, so I've got to ask you, just going back to your latest book as well, which is just about to be published. You mentioned 1,000 years between these two lifetimes.
Yes.
Now, these are the two lifetimes that you feel are imposing on you to heal, to help you to live this purpose that you really wish to go out there and do, right? Which is your next stage. Right?
There are actually 3 lifetimes, and a third lifetime. The last time I was a female was in 9th century Egypt. And that's the last time I was a female, because I said, never again. I will never be a woman again until men get their shit together. Well, men haven't gotten their shit together. But actually, I've had to learn that men getting their shit together should have nothing to do with it, because it's not about them, it's about me. But anyway, the Beloved Brother lifetime and the Ben Kim-Sem lifetime are the two having the most prominent influence on me right now, along with this third lifetime in 9th century Egypt. And she is dealt with, Ben Kim-Sem deals with her in his dreams. So that third lifetime is in his dreams. And they are these 3 lifetimes are the ones, everything that has to be healed and transformed now. My higher self says I have 3 choices: now, or now. So choose.
Right, and many of us do not. We leave this lifetime with not having ever looked into any of these parts of us, and I guess that's fine as well, right? There's no judgment in that.
No, none whatsoever. We are the creators of every single lifetime. We choose what we're willing to deal with and what we choose to reject and avoid. And we keep doing it until we get so sick and tired of it, we finally choose something else. But that's our choice. Linear time is just an illusion of this dimension. If it takes you 1 billion years to learn a lesson, outside this dimension, it's all now. Linear time is only in this dimension. So there is no judgment in that. And karma doesn't judge anyway, at all. But we choose. But we have to, at some point, we have to own that we choose. And at some point, if it's 1 billion years from now or today, we have to choose. We create every moment of every lifetime depending on what we need for our healing and our growth and our transformation. And we do it or we don't.
Well, do you think you could ever come back into another lifetime where you're totally switched off to all of what you're saying now? That if you heard yourself in 100 years' time hearing this recorded conversation and not knowing it was you, that it's part of your soul lineage that's listening to it, but you're not into any of this, you're totally switched off to yourself. Do you think is that going backwards, or is that something that
it's not that can happen, and it's not necessarily backwards. Depending on your karmic needs. You may need a lifetime where you don't have any of this memory or understanding. It's not a requirement, It's not a requirement. You don't evolve because you know all this. It's not a requirement at all. So it's not going forward or backwards. It's whatever your karmic needs are.
Could you be a bit of a shit if you didn't have this kind of understanding?
You can be a shit if you have this.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I know people who think they're so spiritually evolved, and they're absolute total shits because they know what they know and they do what they do, but they feel nothing. They are emotionally retarded and constipated.
You think to yourself, don't you, in conversations like this, not that it really matters, because all that matters is now, but just out of the fun of talking about it, right? What is the freaking end goal then with any of this? If you're going to switch it off in a number of lifetimes and you come back in other lifetimes with it fully present.
We don't know what the end goal is. And there may not even be one. Our conscious minds are incapable of grasping.
Well, that's what I can say. It doesn't even matter, but it's just fun to play with it.
Even if there is one, eternity is eternal, So there may not even be an end goal, but whether or not there is, it doesn't matter because we're here in this here and now, and we got to do with being in this here and now. So that's the kind of question of people have asked that in their readings, and their higher selves has said to me, "Who cares? It has nothing to do with anything." This kind of question becomes another kind of avoidance behavior. It's a way of staying in the mind to avoid being in the feelings.
But then you could say, if people are listening back to this, having had that question and even thinking or listening to what we're saying, they may say, well, that's fun. That's a nice answer, actually. There is no answer. Do you know what I mean? So
Voila. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. But that lifetime that with the 1,000-year gap, I'm sure that you may agree that you had other lives in that 1,000-year gap.
Oh, of course. I've lived in every. There hasn't been a century I didn't live in.
You said something really interesting in an interview once. I know we're getting very, very close to the end here, and there will be others. You said, I think it was one of the beginning interviews I listened back to just briefly, how the idea that we are, a soul having a human experience, right, and that each lifetime is its own unique experience. So this unique personality that you've got, my unique personality, continues when we cross over, but we are really just then you called it was it a necklace with many
yes.
Yeah.
People have been confused. People have come to me for readings, and they know that a mother knows that her child is her dead grandfather. Okay. But she's still in contact with her dead grandfather. And she says, how the hell is that possible? So I explain, if you visualize your higher self as a pearl necklace, each pearl is each individual incarnation. And the string that connects all the pearls to make it one necklace, that's the higher self. The string is the pure, original Godhead, pure, energy. And every time we incarnate, we add another pearl to the necklace. Each pearl maintains its uniqueness, its individual uniqueness for eternity. You are your total self. You are your higher self, your total self, and you are simultaneously each and every individual lifetime you ever lived. Many of your spirit guides are your own past lives. And some of your spirit guides are other people's past lives. So every lifetime has its unique individuality. It's eternal. So you can have your grandfather being a spirit guide and being your child or your grandchild at the same time. Same necklace, different pearls.
Who the hell am I then? If I was that individual personality and that continues forever, Christ knows what the realness is of me then. Because if that realness, if that soul, the real essence of who I truly am, the greater part of me, and is that a separate? Is it separate in some way that we don't understand?
No separation. See, this is where the conscious mind. This is beyond the mind's understanding. You are the total necklace, and each and every individual pearl simultaneously. Each pearl, each lifetime is individual and unique, but there's no separation. And that's the conscious mind. It's beyond the mind's understanding, and really, you just have to let it go.
I found it fascinating. I always find that stuff fascinating. I like to go beyond the beyond and get nowhere, right? But actually,
exactly.
Just the freedom in even trying to have the ability to express that, to go beyond is a freedom of some sort, right? But not that we understand.
You have your own past lives as spirit guides. You have other people's past lives as spirit guides. You have animal spirit guides. You have angelic spirit guides. You have extraterrestrial spirit guides. it's you know,
Well, let me just
it
say
goes
something
on and on
about
and
your work
on.
as well. One thing about your work is, when you know you personally, you do have an interest in the whole ET side, but you never bring that into your work. And I think, tell me I'm wrong, but you've always wanted to, like, not confuse. It's about now, getting lost about where what's
Yes,
possibly out there is not helping in the moment now.
for me, because yes, I'm totally into all the ET stuff, but it's too easy for people to get so caught up in that as a way of avoiding themselves. It becomes an escape, Of course. So I try to keep it to ourselves and as much in the here and now as possible, because that's how we're going to connect to our fullest potential self and be the potential of who we can be with all the gifts that we choose to work with.
Well, imagine a future you doing this type of reading, right? And there has been some sort of contact made. I'm talking about in an ununderstandable time frame. I don't think it's in 100 years. I think it's way beyond what we can understand, that kind of contact, because it's just I might be wrong, but judging where we are right now. But just, if that contact had happened and, their past lives as well that they have, or whoever they are, right? Our brothers out there,
Yeah.
sisters, that then mix in with where we are and everything else. And it's just unimaginable, isn't it? Just like how big this is.
Yeah. And I mean, ET contact has been since the very beginning. We have never been without extraterrestrials. In fact, almost all of us are extraterrestrials. Hardly no one originated on planet Earth. We all came from somewhere else first. So we're all aliens, actually. As you further back you go.
I've had private conversations with you in person, and you've talked about, just even our own solar systems, evolution, and things that you've picked up on past lives that happened, and just what the layout may have looked like beyond our understanding. Yeah.
And I've had several people come to me for readings who are extraterrestrials and know it. And they come to me for readings because they can't handle it. They can't handle being in this lower, heavier vibration with human consciousness. It's driving them nuts. They can't take it. So many of them have been sent to me so that I could help them to deal with it.
I'm guessing they were born here, but they became pretty aware at some.
Not all of them. Some were born into human bodies. Some have manifested. It's a combination.
Oh, like a walk-in kind of thing.
No, I'm not talking about a walk-in. They manifest from the spaceship. They just materialize a body and off they go. It's all three. They're born that way. They walk in, or they materialize.
And these readings are very few and far between. But you have had some experience with something that happened like that. Yeah.
Yes, and they come to me because they can't handle the heavy human consciousness.
Well, can you blame them?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
But I tell them, work more with the animals, and that actually has helped them a lot.
We'll link up the new book as it comes out, obviously. So for people listening back to this, the new book is in the description below, as the other books of Williams as well. One final few questions then. You've got all this knowledge, or this is a lifetime of your truth, shall I say, being expressed into you, right? Now, you obviously have read books, you've been influenced by other authors as well, right? And then you've got your own influence from your own experiences and your own ability to tune in. When did it really kick in for you? Was it in the early 20s that this started to sort of be your path?
The first time I remember past lives was when I was about 4 years old.
A memory?
Yes. I was my maternal grandfather in my last life. And I knew that when I was 4 years old. I would look at my grandmother as 4 years old, knowing she was my daughter and my mother was my granddaughter. And when I was 6 years old, I went to my mother and said, I'm not going to get married and have children this time. It's not why I'm here. So past life memories since I was 4 years old. I didn't start writing past life memory novels until 1970 was when that started. Doing the readings also started about 1969, 1970. The telepathy with the animals which I've always desired, didn't start showing itself till about, it started to about 21 years ago. But it started getting more and more intense the past 6 or 7 years.
Did your father ever know of the work that you were doing?
To some degree, he may have. He certainly does now, listening in from the other side. So he certainly knows now. Up until the time he died, I think he had an inkling.
What was that like? I mean, I've never asked you. I mean, these are personal questions, though. But I mean, we've all got a story, haven't we?
Yeah.
What was that like? With your parents and stuff.
My mother fully and thoroughly believed in past lives, so that was not an issue. And my brother and sisters do too. I just went about my life. I learned, 4 or 5 years old, I learned other people aren't remembering what I am. They're not doing what I am. And I learned quickly, not from my family, but just from everybody around me. I learned live my life and keep it to myself until the time comes. And and then it started. It started in my mid-20s when I started teaching and lecturing and doing the readings.
Yeah. I can see you've been doing it for a long time. Obviously, do you know what I mean? With just the sort of authority that you have in the truth, that the oh gosh, what's the right word I want to use? It well, you feel this is just your truth, isn't it? This is what. Yeah.
I live my truth. I explain truth as it is for me. Then other people do with it what they want. They can work with it. They can use it. They can ignore it. They can reject it. That's their responsibility, not mine.
Do you feel that other lifetimes will pop up then that are affecting you, that are going to start coming up once you start working with the animals in the future? Do you feel that there'll be other lifetimes that are going to have then a resonance to be?
Could be.
Mm-hmm.
Could be. I am aware of at least 30 of my past lives. I mean, I've lived thousands. If I wrote down a list, there would be at least 30 past lives that I have memories of. The others, will they come up? I don't know, because I think the main issues kind of come up in a few lifetimes. You don't want to work with too much because you just get lost in it. So I don't know if any other past life memories will come up. They may not need to, because they're encompassed already in what I'm working on in the lifetimes I do have memories. So I may not need to recall them at all.
I know you've not always had the easiest time in this lifetime, and nor have I. I mean, we all go through the shit, don't we? And I know that you have as well. How are you now? Would you say? Are you what place are you in? Do you think in your journey?
I am finally acknowledging that I'm not a victim of the universe, which was a great avoidance escape, let me tell you. There used to be a cartoon strip, Calvin and Hobbes, the little boy with his tiger, and his tiger was his higher self. And Calvin said in one of the strips, God bless being a victim of victim consciousness. Bless victim consciousness. And I used to, I'm blessed victim consciousness. But it just causes more problems. The more you avoid, the more problems it creates. So I'm really now very consciously acknowledging I'm not a victim of the lives I've created. I'm learning to let go of the guilt, the judgment, the anger I've held towards myself for the choices I made that led to the difficulties. But the difficulties are how you learn the lesson. So I'm now letting go of the hate and anger and the guilt that I made those choices that were so hurtful.
I'm so glad that you're saying that. That's good to hear.
So I'm doing that now. And I think that is why I'm now ready to go back to return to my spiritual home in Scotland. I think I can do that now because I'm achieving this now. And for me, writing the books and then editing them and re-editing them, because I relive it every time, it just gets me into that total emotional process. What I know, that's fine, but that's not enough. I have to emotionally feel and trust the truth of it, not just know it. It has to be an absolute emotional feeling. And that is what's allowing me to let go of all this self-judgment that's been holding me back so long.
And finally, as well, just where we are right now as a collective on with all that's going on in the world right now, where did you ever consider that, like where we're at, evolutionary wise or just spiritually wise? Or
most humans don't want to wake up. They don't want to move on. Most humans want the easiest and fastest way out, which of course sends them further and further into the shit. Most humans want someone to save them, someone to die for them, someone to suffer for them, someone to save them, one to do it all for them or tell them what to do so they don't have to do it themselves. The vast majority of humans are in that space. And as I said in the previous interview, the COVID is a karmic issue forcing people to go one way or the other. The COVID is not a judgment. It is not a punishment. Karma neither judges nor punishes. It's none of that. It is simply Mother Earth is accelerating her energies. She's done as a karmic university. She's not here for that anymore. She's accelerating her energies into a higher vibration. She's preparing to shift into the fourth dimension, which is a higher vibration of energy and consciousness. It's more light and less physical density. And anyone who's not moving forward in their inner development has to move on. This is not anything bad or wrong. They have to be pulled out now so they can continue their karmic process, but somewhere else, not on Earth. And that's fine. It's not a problem. It's not a punishment. It's everybody has to be where they need to be, and it's okay. We're all spiritual equals. There is no such thing as a spiritual hierarchy. There is no such thing as someone who's higher spiritually. There's no such thing. Someone who's more awake isn't spiritually superior or higher. They're just more awake. But we're all equal, no matter where we are. But people who are not ready to move on, they're being pulled out to reincarnate somewhere else. They're not reincarnating here anymore and haven't for a while. So the COVID is one of the means to get people who need to move on to move on. It's not a judgment. It's not a punishment. It's just to get them where they need to be. That's best for them.
I have to ask this. I know I said it that you're going, but I just have to ask this then, if that's how you feel. If I was to travel, and I can't, but just mentally just imagine it. Travel 50 years in the future or 100 years 50 years in the future, right? And the people that are incarnating now and who are older in that time frame are living out the same goddamn issues.
Not on Earth. No.
No, not the same people. Not the same people, but new souls that have come in are now living out the issues that the others were. It's still the same shit going on.
Not in fourth-dimensional Earth. No. It'll be quite different. It'll be a whole different karmic process. The ones who are not dealing with their stuff will not reincarnate on Earth at all. There's millions of other planets to go to. They'll just go somewhere else to help them with the process. The ones who are sufficiently moving forward within themselves and are in alignment with Mother Earth, they will shift into a different karmic process because they will have achieved a new level. It'll be a different process. So it won't be this same old shit. No.
But that doesn't say that's the that's the eradication of war, though, does it? Or does it?
On Earth, when this process is over, yes.
Could that be 100 years?
No.
You really don't feel so. Okay.
No, it's not that long at all. It's just a few years.
See, the way I feel sometimes is that if I'm a free spirited soul and I want to experience some, dreadful, terrible life, right? Because I want to experience that for whatever reason, right? Come on, whatever. Switch that holodeck on, and I can come down here and do that. But
you will go to a different planetary holodeck, not planet Earth, because planet Earth will be a fourth dimensional vibration and will not be supporting that kind of experience.
Well, I guess I'll never know.
You'll be on a holodeck on another planet.
I guess I'll never know, will I? Because if he was incarnate on something, you would never know about Earth, would you?
Exactly.
There'd be Earth 2, which would look just the same. You'd have no frigging difference, would it?
You never know, yeah.
Okay. Hey, look, they're all what ifs, right? I just, people watching.
There are, at the end of the day, only what ifs.
Yeah,
sure.
It's just
everybody has to choose and decide for themselves.
I asked this because of the way that we're about to maybe go to war with the Ukraine, right? Russia is. I asked it because of what's going on in the world right now as we speak.
I have no fear regarding that whatsoever, because I completely trust my higher self in the guidance it's giving me. And my higher self is saying, just relax, live your life. You are protected no matter what happens. And I trust that. I trust that sense of protection. So to me, it doesn't even matter if there's war or not.
No, it doesn't. But just that we're in this karmic state, that we're at this level, aren't we? For it to even be happening, right? That's what I mean. Yeah.
If it happens, those who need to experience that and move out to continue somewhere else will. Those who don't need to won't be involved in it. But there's no judgmental quality. There's no hierarchy here. You're not better or worse. There's no such thing. Everybody's spiritually equal. We all just got to go where it best supports us for our needs. But no judgment whatsoever.
Absolutely. And I think that's why I feel this pull for this spiritual news network that's been with me for a number of years right now.
Yeah.
And, that if we could just see the news for some of us from a different angle, like from a more, what's the karmic meaning behind the news? Report it as it is, but like, what's the bigger meaning for us all? And I think that's why I'm in the States partly. Yeah. Because that's where I need to be right now to do something like that. But
the human souls who are incarnated right now in Russia and most of Eastern Europe share a group conscious karma of they don't take responsibility for themselves. They're overly addicted to external authority to tell them what to do and do everything for them. And Putin is just a mirror to provoke these incarnated souls to start taking more responsibility. And you are seeing it in some of the younger generation. They're standing up and saying no. So it's a karmic situation to give these incarnate souls an opportunity to take ownership and responsibility for themselves and not just be addictive victims with external authority doing everything for them. So there are a lot of karmic healing potentials going on here. And no matter how it ends up, you just trust that. And all the rest of us, if you follow your inner guidance, if you listen to your intuition, you'll know what to do. And my higher self says, just go about your life, you're protected. And I say, that's fine.
And live your purpose, which is what you're doing.
And live my purpose. And if I die tomorrow, I die tomorrow. On to the next. It is as it is.
Well, hopefully not, because we'd like you to contribute to the ISNN.
But but whatever happens, it's fine.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, I've thoroughly enjoyed having you back on. And
it's always fun to have these talks with you. So anytime.
For anyone that wants to know more about William, just go to themoreshow.com/William Shaffer. All his contact information's there, his books are there, his previous interviews are there, which we go into all sorts of different subjects, and they range for, oh my God, we've been doing this now for since 2011 or maybe 2010 10 maybe, or before.
It seems like lifetimes. It's like 3 or 4 pearls.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you've definitely given me a kick up the backside a lot of times, and I don't mind it sometimes because it does help, and I've gone to you for help as well. So I thank you for all that help. So and I would highly recommend him for a reading. People that have been to have him for a reading, it really. It's a deep. These are written readings. Let's just say that as well. So basically, you need a photo of them because that helps you to tune in to them.
Yeah. And if it's a reading about an animal, I need a photo of the animal and the animal's name, so I can really connect with them.
Right. We'll place that on the website as well. And
okay.
So this is a written reading. This is a number of. The number of pages depends on what you're going to channel through, in a sense, doesn't it? To what you're going to bring through for them. Yeah. So I mean, I had one many moons ago, and the one thing you told me, brother, about being in the churches through most of my life.
Oh yeah.
No one could have told us anything that would have resonated more than that. That wasn't even on my mind. No one knows my inner feeling, my inner thoughts back then. I wasn't even podcasting, it wasn't even a thought. Do you know what I mean? But you were right. I'll just say that.
But you were ready for it at the moment.
Yeah, but you don't know that would have been the only thing that would have made me believe in you. Do you know that?
Yeah, but your higher self knew it, my higher self knew it, so the two got together.
Yeah, and my parents have had readings with William as well, and they found it to be very, very useful and very good, and something that they refer back to a lot and talk about a lot. So they always talk about you with kind words, and they always think that you've got
wonderful.
An amazing gift as well. So just to let you know that. So, okay, well, William, I'm going to leave my love with you and just thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much, and my love to you too.